Welcome back. I had a lot of requests to go over the Heritage Box Break from Collecticon, so we're going to dig into that today. I did attend the event in person in Orlando, Florida last Sunday, and had a pretty good time at the event. It was a lot of fun. I got to see a lot of people there, which was pretty cool. Edwin, the Magic Engineer, you guys probably know him from his YouTube channel. Our friend Paul and Jared. We got to hang out with Cassius Marsh whenever he wasn't on stage. Visited with Brian from Heritage Auctions. Kid Icarus came out, a pretty well-known eBay seller. It was great to visit with him again. I hadn't seen him since Gen Con before the pandemic started. So that was a pleasant surprise. And I got to visit with King Pokemon, Gary, and I was able to show him the Blastoise, the prototype Blastoise, test print Blastoise. So that was kind of a treat. There's not many Pokemon cards that he hasn't seen before in person, and so I was able to share that with him. The other person that I got to meet was Jimmy from Dice City Games. That was pretty awesome. We did an interview, probably 45 minutes or so, and I don't know when that's going to show up or where, but I'm looking forward to viewing it, I guess, and I recommend checking it out wherever it shows up, because it was a fun time. It was a good interview. Alright, everything that follows here is going to be a spoiler for the Collecticon box break, so if you haven't seen that and you'd like to, check out the link at the top right of the screen. It's been about a week now, so hopefully everybody that wanted to check that out has had a chance to do so. I took a sheet printout with me and mapped the box live in the front row of the audience. There was a lot of people there. It was fun hanging out. There were people who had bought packs and they wanted to know if the box was legit, so I shared some information with them and visited with a lot of people who just enjoyed my channel. That was always great. Thanks for coming out to see me. And so here we go. I'm going to just reveal the cards as they were opened, and I'll show you what the mapping progressed like. Okay, first card that was opened was Lord of the Pit. Now that was opened by the owner, I guess the seller of the packs. So this pack was already opened before the Collecticon event started. So if you were, trying to keep track of which cards were opened from the box, and you just watched the Collecticon event, you didn't see this pack get opened because it was opened before the auction even happened. Okay, so the first card opened at Collecticon was Natural Selection. And I have it outlined there in green on the screen along with the Lord of the Pit. And you can see that I have the two cards in between there outlined in blue. Now the blue outline means that those cards are guaranteed to be in the box. We haven't seen them yet. We don't know which pack they're in. They're just in one of the packs that's in the box. Next is Word of Command. Now we have a lot more cards outlined in blue. Those are also all in the box. That's what the blue outline means. So now we know 12 cards out of the box. That's a third of the box. Now these cards are all pretty close to each other here on the sheet, and we haven't really revealed a whole lot of information. So we could still go 3 rows up to have a section of 5. We could go 3 rows down. We could go left. We're probably going to go right and get these two. We could go down here in this area, the bottom left. We could go towards the top right and go up there. There's just a lot of stuff that's still in play, you could say. Mana Short's the next card. No new information there. We already knew that was in the box, and, well, we happened to open it. Nevinyrral's Disc is the next card, down here outlined in green. It does make a lot of more cards outlined in blue, so, that's useful. Like I said in the previous video, when you open a card that's pretty far away from the cards you've already opened, it eliminates more of the possibilities. And so you narrow down what's possible faster. And that's really what happened here. And unfortunately, that wasn't the direction that we wanted to see to increase our chances of getting the Lotus. Now, the Lotus is still in play. I've kind of shaded the cards that we're not going to get. And the Lotus is still possible here, but it's not very possible. So at this point, the only way to get the Lotus is to come up here to Lord of Atlantis. At this point, we don't even know if Lord of Atlantis is in the box because these aren't outlined in blue, this row here. So if we came up to Lord of Atlantis and we got this, if we get this one, and this one, so that this is our block of 5, and then if this is a block of 3, we can get these over here to the Lotus. So that's 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Last card in the box. So, yeah, that's like a 1 out of 36 chance of getting the Lotus on that possibility. Anything else, any other type of sheet layout is just not happening. So it's not looking good. But it is possible. Lotus is still in play. It's just not very likely at this point. So yeah, getting that disc there, things really turned the wrong way for us. But you know, it is what it is. It's still looks totally legit. We just need to keep going and see what's in the box. Now at this point, we don't really know where any of the yellow lines are yet. We could go further down here, like this could be 5. We can get these, or we could go up and get these, and this would be a section of 5. We could leave it as a section of 4 and put the yellow line here, and then get these underneath these, so this would be a section of 3. Or if this went up and the yellow line was here, then possibly we could get these, or maybe we'll just go further to the left and get some of these. Similarly, we could go towards the bottom right. We could go past the disc here, and we could get some of these. We could just keep going this way with our section of 4 here. So that's kind of what we're looking at this point in the mapping. Next card, Demonic Hordes. We already knew it was in the box. Nothing new there. Mana Flare, right up here. Warp Artifact. Okay, that changes things. So Warp Artifact is kind of right at the nexus of this kind of crossroads right here. It doesn't tell us where the yellow line is, because we don't know if we're going to go from here down to the disc and then up to the Lord of Atlantis. Like maybe this yellow line is above the Warp Artifact, and then we're going to come get these. Or if the yellow line is below the Warp Artifact, then maybe we're just getting these 4 and we're not going to get those, and we're going to get these over here instead as part of this section. And the Warp Artifact could be at the end there. But what we do know is, unfortunately, the Lotus is out of play at this point. So neither of those possibilities that I just showed for where the Warp Artifact is located in the sequence allows us enough cards to reach the Lotus. The Lotus will be the 37th card at the closest, which puts it in the next box, not in this box. Okay, Tropical Island right here. Now that does tell us where a couple yellow lines are at. Because it ruled out all of these, we no longer have enough cards to get to these things. We know that the yellow line is up here, and similarly we ruled out these, so we know the yellow line is here. We still don't know where this yellow line is in the middle. It's either above the Warp Artifact or it's below the Warp Artifact, and which side of that card it's on depends on whether we're going to be getting these 3 or these, was it 7 cards there? So we just don't know yet. And then we get the Hive. All right, so that tells us we're getting these 3. They're outlined in blue, as you can see, except for the Hive, which is outlined in green because we just opened it. And it rules out these. Now we could still possibly get the Rock of Courageous just by going this way. Rock of Courageous could be the card right before Royal Assassin. But we're definitely not getting any of these, and now we know where the yellow lines are at. So we're looking at a sequence of here at the Death Lace, up to the Rock, Royal Assassin, up to the Warp Artifact, etc., bottom to top. And then here we have a section of 2 rows, again, bottom to top, right to left, all the way to here at the Contract from Below. Now, there's only 36 cards in the box, 36 rares, and we know what order they're going to be in. We know what the sequence is, but we don't know exactly where the box starts and stops. So we still have these kind of 5 cards at each end that are unknown. So there's 5 more cards in the box. They could all be on one side at the beginning here or at the end, or they could be split in some amount in between the two. Scrubland. Bayou. All right, that's one of the 5 cards we didn't know. So now there's only 4 cards left that we don't know. You can see that Contract from Below is no longer possible because we went 1 card in this direction, so we can't reach all the way to Contract from Below anymore. So our 4 possible cards that we're looking at are Earthquake, Royal Assassin, Rock, Deathlace, Granite Gargoyle, Disrupting Scepter, Badlands, and what is that, Blaze of Glory? Yeah. Next card, Island. Island Rare, right here. JM Tome, Force Field, Lord of Atlantis. Now this was an interesting pack. A lot of people who are familiar with the order that cards are supposed to be in inside the pack, which was important back then because rares weren't marked. You had to kind of know that in order to know which card was your rare. A lot of people saw something interesting with this pack. I'm going to cover that a little later in this video. So for the moment, we're just going to say that, yes, Lord of Atlantis was here in the box, and it's outlined in green. Disrupting Scepter. Okay, that makes the Gargoyle be outlined in blue. We know that's in the box. And now we can no longer get the Rock of Courages or the Deathlace, so we have 2 cards on either end that we don't know yet. We've got 2 more cards in the box. We're either going to get the Earthquake and the Assassin, the Badlands and the Blaze of Glory, or we're going to get 1 from each side. We can get the Badlands and the Earthquake. It's going to be one of those things, we just don't know which yet. Gauntlet of Might, Vesuvan Doppelganger. Now this was also kind of an interesting pack opening. The owner of the pack, the winner of the auction, was there live at the event. That was pretty awesome. Thanks for chatting. So this card, when it was opened, the front card and the back card in the pack kind of stuck inside the pack when he pulled the cards out of the pack. And so he got the 13 cards out of the middle. And then he pulled out the last 2 cards, which was the front card and the back card. Well, that was the first common and the rare, which was the last card in the pack. So he pulled those cards out separate from the 13 in the middle and placed them on top of the stack. And that made the rare be the second card in the stack, which it's kind of confused some people. They didn't quite catch that if they weren't paying close attention. But he revealed the cards, and the second card he revealed was the rare. And people were like, what? What's going on? That's confusing. But if you paid attention to what he did, then it's pretty obvious. So it's all on video. You can check it out on the Collecticon video. And that's what happened. So there's nothing unusual about that pack. It was just the way he opened the pack. Chaos Lace, Demonic Attorney, Lich, Zombie Master, Birds of Paradise, Timberwolves, Taiga, Royal Assassin. Okay, at this point, we are done mapping the box. So we got the Assassin. That means the Earthquake is guaranteed. We're not going to get the Badlands or the Blaze of Glory. So that's our 36 cards. Now, we haven't opened all the packs yet, and we don't know which packs contain these other blue cards, especially since they were shuffled by Heritage. But these other cards are in there somewhere. So in these, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Yeah, pretty sure that's 9 packs remaining. There is a Power 9. There's a Mox Pearl in these 9 packs. There's also a Mana Vault, which is a pretty good card. I'm not sure how you'd value a pack if you were to sell a sealed pack that you knew had a 1 in 9 chance of having a Mox Pearl, but it's an interesting thing to think about. I guess it doesn't really matter, though, because, hey, these packs are being opened. Savannah Lions. Here we get the Mana Vault. All right, the next pack was interesting. We had King Pokemon, Gary. He pulled up a guest opener to kind of sit in for him and open a pack, just kind of as a special treat. Someone that really wanted to open a pack, and they had the chance to do that. So they happened to pull the Mox Pearl. Now that was awesome. It's just really cool to see that. So congratulations on opening the Mox Pearl, even if you don't get to keep it, because whoever won the auction gets to keep that card. But Hey, that's our big opening for the day here as far as the beta sheet goes. That's the Power 9 card. Granite Gargoyle, Earthquake, Howling Mine, Crusade, and Ankh of Mishra. Alright, now since I was mapping the box on my paper printout there, I was like, that's only 35 rares. Like, what about the next pack? There's supposed to be another pack. And a few other people in the room had also realized, I don't know if they were trying to map it also, like they were following along to see if it was legit, but people were like, did you lose a pack? What's going on? And so I went over and I talked to Heritage, and it turns out that there is one pack that did not get opened. So what happened is that it was a non-paying bidder, and so the pack didn't sell, and I'm not going to open the pack if it doesn't have a buyer. So that one pack is being held. I assume it's going to be sold at another Heritage auction at a later date, but it couldn't be opened because the buyer didn't pay for it. Now, the owner and the seller are not the same person. Obviously, the owner consigned it to Heritage, but they didn't ask me to reveal the contents of their unopened pack. So I don't really want to call out the name of the card here, but if anyone wants to follow along with my video, through process of elimination, since we know what the other 35 cards are in the box, it's pretty easy to tell which card is remaining that didn't get opened. So just keep that in mind, I guess. If you're going to be bidding on some sealed packs in the future, that pack is out there somewhere. They may or may not announce the contents of that pack when they choose to sell it. I don't know. If you were comparing this to the numbered sheet layouts for my previous video, here we go. It's number 8. So congratulations to those of you who figured that out. I received some messages from people who thanked me for helping them out and understanding how all this stuff works. So yeah, you were right. A gold star for you. It's number 8. Now, here we are. The green outline on the stuff that we got. It's this section of 5, followed by this section of 2. 5 rows, and then 2 rows. From the information here, it appears to be a totally legit box. I don't see anything suspicious or unusual, but there are a few more things that we can check. Here's how the uncommons map out. So we have these 2 and that one. You can see the ones we got are outlined in green. So every 3 cards is a pack, and we're going from the bottom right, we're going to go up and to the left. So just like that, same as always, just like we do with the rares. We got this section, we got this section. Scrolling down with the sheet here. All right, now we got this section. Now again, the blue cards, that's like there's a pack we didn't open, so we didn't see those cards that are outlined in blue, but they are the only cards in the middle of this sequence here. And they do happen to align with the position in the sequence where the unopened rare was at. Yes, you can connect the sequences together from rares, uncommons, and commons because they're all in the same machine, kind of being spat out at the same time. Alright, doing the same thing with the commons here. We have the swamp and the fog, and then we move on up to the stone rain. On up, and then left, up, just like before. And there's a lot of commons in the box. 11 commons for every pack of cards. So every 11 commons is a pack. Then you got another 11, that's another pack. Again, there's this blue section here because that's 11 cards that weren't opened. And we go on until we reach the end there. So putting it all together here, we have the rare column, the uncommon column, and the common column. This quantity right here, that's a booster pack. We have 11 commons, 3 uncommons, and a rare. So these cards were all together. This is what was in the Royal Assassin pack. This is the order that they appeared in. And if you compare it to the sheet, like I just showed you on the other screen, then that's the order that they're also in on the sheet. So first pack, second pack, etc. So there you have it. I am confident that this box was totally legit. There was a factory error in the pack that contained the Lord of Atlantis. It only affected the commons in that pack. I'll discuss that again in a minute. As far as, potential for any kind of shady activity, I'm not seeing anything here. There's not any out of order rares or commons or uncommons. Everything is in sequence. If you swapped a pack from another box, it would very likely contain a rare that was out of sequence. That's the whole point, right? You want to take a good rare and put back a not so good rare. And that doesn't appear to have happened. Even if someone were to take out a good rare and put in a pack that had the same good rare, the uncommons and commons from that pack wouldn't fall in sequence with the other commons and uncommons from the box. So I can see that that didn't happen. I also don't see any evidence of repacking from the condition of the packs or from the sequence of cards shown here or from the condition of the cards. It's pretty unlikely that someone repacking would be able to put the cards all in the correct order. Even more unlikely is that they would have near mint, pack fresh condition cards of all the cards to even put in order. Okay, let's talk about that Lord of Atlantis pack for a minute. I know that confused a lot of people. It caught some attention. Here's what's going on. So this left column here, this is the order that the cards were supposed to be in that pack. According to the sequence for all of the commons and uncommons and the rares, this is the order that the cards should have been in. Not only is it the order that the cards should have been in, but it is the cards that were supposed to be there. This over here is the order of the actual cards in the pack. Now, one super important thing here is that it's all the same card names. So we have all the cards that we're supposed to have. The unusual part is that the order was changed. The question is, how did that happen? Now, first of all, what happened? So we can see here the Mountain, Ivory Cup, Wall of Bone, those are the uncommons. The Lord of Atlantis is the rare. The uncommons and the rare, they did not move. They're in their correct location. This issue doesn't affect them. I know it feels like the rare is the fourth card in the pack here, but just the way the machine works and everything, try to visualize that those cards did not move. What moved is the commons. So here's the commons. We have a section of 4, the first 4 commons, and then we have the remaining commons here. Something happened with the commons in the factory. If I had to guess, I would say maybe they fell off the conveyor and a worker picked them up and put them back on the stack. Put them back basically on top of the rare, and that's how they got out of order. So what happened here is the commons moved from being before the uncommons and rare to being after the uncommons and rare. Not only did the commons move, but they were split into 2 sections right here between the COP green and the weakness. And this section got placed here, and these 4 got placed here. Now within those 2 sections, the cards stayed in order. So they didn't get very far out of whack. Like I said, it's all the right cards, but for some reason, and we don't have a time machine, we can't go back and see what really happened, but when those commons came out of the sorting machine and got put on the conveyor, something happened. And it would appear that a worker picked them up for some reason, apparently picked up 2 piles of them, put them back on the conveyor. I'm pretty sure this is a factory error because it's all the same cards, it only affects the commons, and they're not very far out of sequence order. Like these 2 sections remained within sequence order. On top of that, everything else in the box checks out. Everything about this points to legitimate factory error, and I don't see any motive for rearranging the cards in a pack and putting them back in a pack. Yes, it's unusual, it certainly attracted some attention, but it's just one of those things. Okay, moving on to what I consider the most important part of this box opening. And that is the new collation data that it provides that advances this work of mapping boxes. The information that we didn't have before that this has shown us. This is regarding the number of rows scooped up at a time. You might view it as where the yellow lines get placed. During my previous studies of product openings, I've determined that the number of rows that get scooped up, or the spaces between the yellow lines, are either 2, 3, 4, or 5.
So the combination is 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the stupidest combination I ever heard in my life. That's the kind of thing an idiot would have on his luggage.
I've learned from employees that this process was controlled by belts on the machine, and how many rows got scooped up was adjustable by the size of the belt. So the length of the belt affected how frequently this occurred, and it was a repeating process. They did not know exactly how many rows were scooped or what the sequence was for any particular print run. That was a long time ago, and it can change from print run to print run. I have a previous video where I went over all of the different ways that you can arrange the numbers 2, 3, 4, or 5 to look at all the different possible combinations that there could be for this sequence. Because if you know that 5 rows always comes after 4 rows, for example, then that's important for determining where the next yellow line is going to be. The actual sequence isn't known. As I discussed in another video, I went through all those different possible sequences, and what I did learn is that no matter which order you put those numbers, 2, 3, 4, and 5, you always end up with a 14-sheet sequence, and then the cycle repeats. So even without knowing what the sequence is, it looked like the cycle repeated every 14 sheets. And furthermore, you could take those 14 sheets, and if you rearrange them in a different order, you could create all the other different number combinations. Which means that even if the cycle isn't 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe it's 5, 2, 3, 4, that's actually the same thing. Maybe it's 2, 5, 4, 3 or something. So whatever it is, mathematically, over the whole cycle, if you look at it in 14-sheet sections, you end up with the same result. Something that I did not count on is what was revealed here in this box opening. So we have some new information here. Now, the reason that we don't know what the sequence is because in order to witness it, to document the sequence, you have to have a large number of sequential sealed product being opened. And beta booster boxes just don't get opened on camera every day. There's not a lot of those out there, and so the information just didn't exist. So I was using this mathematical, formula, but now we have a box opening on video, and it appears to be a legit box, so we can learn something from this. Now there is another box opening, a beta box opening. I want to point out that this Heritage box, it wasn't entirely opened on camera. The Lord of the Pit was opened before filming started. Not that that's really significant. We do know what's in the packs. And there was also one pack that's not opened. And again, we know what's in the pack. So we have all the data. There is another beta booster box. That would be the open boosters box. And all of the rares are known except for one. One of the packs, there's still a handful of packs that aren't open, maybe 4 or 5 packs. And one of those packs contains an unknown rare. Now we know it's either a plateau or the Enchantress, and I think that's right. We had it narrowed down to one of 2 cards. Basically, we just don't know whether it's going to be the pack at the beginning of the sequence or the pack at the end of the sequence. We don't have that exact point where the box begins and ends. But everything else about that box is known. So between the two boxes, I can compare the sequence data here and come to some conclusions, make sure they match and that the results are consistent. And so we've revealed some information that wasn't previously known. You're witnessing the advancement of the mapping knowledge pool. So I'm just going to go over here and point it out on the common sheet. Now, I've said before, if you really want to understand this stuff, look at the commons, because the commons is a larger sample size, way larger sample size, than you get with either the uncommons or the rares. So right here we have two commons. Now we don't know where the yellow line would be further down here, so basically we have to ignore these two. It could be 2, it could be 3, it could be 4, it could be 5. Those are the numbers those are our options. That's our multiple choice. We just have to ignore that because that's incomplete data. But the number of rows between all the yellow lines going up, that's the important part here. So here we have 4. Then we have 3. Five, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 5, 2, 3, 'Looks like that's where we end. We can't go farther than that. It's the end of the box.
I knew it would work. All right, give it to me.
The combination is 2,
2, 2,
3,
3, 3,
4,
4, 4,
4,
4, 4,
3,
3, 3,
5.
5, 5. Thank you, Your Highness.
And then it repeats. 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 5. That's the missing information that I've been looking for. I've been wondering what that cycle is. What is that repeating pattern of rows that get scooped? What I hadn't counted on was that it could possibly use some of these numbers more than once in the cycle. I had been thinking it was a 4-digit cycle. 2, 3, 4, 5, or some combination of those 4 numbers. It's actually a 6-digit cycle. It uses some of the numbers more than once. That means I need to recalculate the percentage chances of getting things, because now I know more accurately where the yellow lines will be. This helps to find the correct card sequence faster and with less data. For example, I can see that a 2-row section only appears once in the cycle, and so the section before 2 rows is always going to be 5 rows, and the section after 2 rows is always going to be 3 rows. Similarly, the 5 also appears only once. So the section after a 5 is always going to be 2 rows, and the section before a 5 is always going to be 3 rows. With the 3 and the 4, it's a little more tricky because those are the numbers that appear in the cycle more than once, but there's a limited number of possibilities. We've cut it in half. Knowing the pattern means that once you've figured out where you're at in this repeating pattern, you can continue to apply it for a large number of sheets beyond where you're at, and also before where you're at. You don't have to wonder anymore how many rows you're going to go up before you hit the yellow line, once you've figured out where you're at. Now keep in mind that this is for beta. It may or may not apply to different print runs because the belts can be moved between print runs. So this might not apply to Alpha, Unlimited, Revised, 4th edition. Who knows? We'd have to check. All of the previous mapping info still works for all the sets. The next question, of course, is whether the same pattern is used for uncommons and rares as what we see on the commons. And that appears to be the case. It looks like they use the same thing for all of beta. Now we have less data on the uncommons and rares because we see so much less of the sheet. Less cards are opened. But for this box, the uncommons, the sequence was 4-3-5, which is part of the sequence here. And the sequence for the rares was 5-2, which is part of the sequence here. Now for Open Boosters box, the uncommons was 3-4-4, and the rares on his box were also 5 and 2. Okay, let's take a look at how much this new information changed things. So here we go. I've made a complete sequence of all the sheets with the yellow lines here. Now, since we have a 6-digit sequence instead of a 4-digit sequence, it's no longer 14 sheets. We now have 21 sheets. So 21 sheets is the sequence that repeats. 121 cards per sheet. That's 2,541 cards in a complete sequence. Okay, so we have a section here of 2, a section here of 3, a section here of 4, a section here of 4 again. Then we have 3 right here, and then we have 5. And then we start back over with 2. Again, I have the sheets numbered so we know where we're at in the sequence. And let me just scroll up and give you a look at all the different layouts here. So there's sheet 2. Here's sheet 3. Sheet 4. And again, we're just repeating that cycle with the yellow lines, which is 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 5. Sheet 6. Sheet 7. Sheet 8. Sheet 9. Sheet 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. 20. And 21. Now everything works the same way as it did in the previous video. You can find whatever card it is that you open, say it's Lord of the Pit, and you can count your 35 cards in each direction if you're working on a booster box, or 19 cards in each direction if you're working on a starter box, and see, what's in range, using the yellow lines to tell you when you go from the left side to the right side. So after sheet 21, we go back to sheet 1 and start over. It's a repeating cycle. So I'm not going to show my work here, but it works just the same way as it did before. Here is the percentage chance of finding the next card in the sequence, updated with the 21 sheet cycle instead of the 14 sheet cycle. So let me Get that lined up there. All right. And zoom in just to make it a little easier to see. There we go. Looks like that'll do. Let me get rid of those lines there. All right. So the card above is still 71.4%. That is 15 of the 21 sheets. So that didn't really change. Maybe it changed some of the further decimals down if you want to talk about hundredths of a percentage point. But these over here, these did change. So instead of being, what was it, 7% each before, now we have this appears on one of the 21 sheets, and so does this, and these each appear on 2 of the 21 sheets. So these changed. Again, they can be moved to wherever you need to move them to make things work. And if you're dealing with a left sheet edge where you can't go further over to the left, then this is what it looks like. This one didn't change at all. We're still at 71.4 and this is still at 28. So no change at all there. All right, zooming back out a little bit. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So these percentages show how likely it is that the next card in the sequence is a particular card. It shows you what you're likely to get next. Just like before, you can invert these if you're going through the deck from the back to the front instead of from the front to the back. That still works the same. I didn't make a picture for it here, but it works. The other thing I want to go over here is not the percentage chance of something being the next card in the sequence, but the likelihood of another card being in the box. So with this new update, the question is, did it change the percentage chance of the Lotus being in the box? Does this new information change that at all? And previously, we had a 71.8% chance of the Lotus being in the box. Now we know now that unfortunately we got the portion of the percentage which means the Lotus was not in the box, but we still had that 71% chance, or at least we thought we did, 71.8. So with this new information, should the number have been different? Did it change any? And so the Black Lotus is in 538 of the 756 possibilities here. So 756, that's the 36 different possibilities for each of the 21 sheets. And 538 of those times is when Lotus is in the box. That comes out to 71.1%. So it is a little bit less than 71.8%, but it's not a huge drastic difference. It's important to be accurate. I'm glad that this is figured out so we can be more accurate in the future. But, we were working with 71% before, and it's still 71%. So, yes, it's a difference. It's not a huge difference. It's a bigger difference, I think, for some of the smaller percent items, but I didn't go to the trouble to calculate all those. And again, I want to point out that this information is only good as long as you only know what one of the cards is. Once you open a second card, then you have to recalculate the data, because opening a second card eliminates some of those possibilities. Whether they're eliminating the possibilities that help you or the possibilities that hurt you, it just depends on which card you open. Okay, I think that's it for today. Hopefully you learned something. I definitely did. Thanks to Heritage Auctions for doing this box break. Without people doing stuff like this, we wouldn't have this kind of mapping data, because we need these box openings in order to be able to calculate this information. And But once the boxes are all opened, the information is just gone. There's no way to recover it. So it's a part of the history, you know? Like if anyone wanted to, say, create an authentic draft by recreating what real packs would look like. Like let's say you wanted to draft beta, but maybe you didn't want to pay the price for sealed beta packs, especially if you're going to play with the cards. So you can get your played cards and you can put them together in a realistic way to duplicate what a draft would be like with beta packs. And that's pretty cool to be able to do that. There's a variety of uses for this, but I'll let you dream about that. So, talk to you later. See you next time.
Well, did it work? Where's the king?
It worked, sir. We have the combination.
Great. That's amazing. I've got the same combination on my luggage.